Hello, Cigar Page, Alex Svensson, and I am proud to say we are back with the big burn. It has been a while. We have been on hiatus. However, I'm back better than ever with some awesome guests, and we're kicking it off huge. Everyone liked the show so much that I was able to go to the company. I got like new headphones, I got a new microphone, we got a new camera. I could look at, check this out. I can zoom in and zoom out. Watch with these hand gestures. That's freaking wild. All right. Anyway, I wanted to kick off our get back together officially with a friend of mine and somebody I've done business with a bunch. My buddy Riste Buck, who I'm sure you've never heard of, but you're about to learn a lot because the guy is an absolute character. I'm going to bring him in. He is backstage here. Let's see here. Here we go. Riste!
What's up, man? How
What's
are
up,
you?
bro? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Fucking great. How you been?
Say hello to the Cigar Page Chimp Army faithful, awesome group of best customers in the world.
What's up, monkeys? Should I call them monkeys? Is that cool? I don't mean nothing by it. You know what I'm saying? But I just like it's very cool, you know? I'm actually glad to be like in this group now, like next phase of my career, you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah, man,
brand
you're
and
in the
everything.
tent now, as they say, right?
Oh, I like that. I'm in the fucking tent.
Yeah, and all your friends from Big Cigar are like, oh no, no, Risty, like no,
Oh,
like
dude.
yeah, those guys break everything. We do break everything. We break all the pricing policies across the internet, and that seems to be more your speed anyway.
Yeah, I like to disrupt a lot of shit, piss a lot of fucking people off, and I figured, man, you'd be a good person to help me do that.
Move fast and break shit. That's the motto, right?
Fucking right. Yeah, bulls in China shop, man. Fuck it.
Well, let me tell our viewers and Cigar Page customers a little bit about who you are and how we met so that they can get a little bit of context before we get into some things because there's a lot I want to ask you about, talk to you about.
Yeah. I
Uh,
want to see if you're going to tell the story of how we really met, where we met.
there were parts of that story told and certain parts omitted,
Okay.
but I'll tell the better parts. So,
Do it.
anyway, Risty is the owner and proprietor of the Jocelyn Kral cigar brand. It is a very boutique, very small batch cigar brand that maybe not be quite a small batch anymore now that we've made an alliance with Cigar Page. And Risty is a real character. He's been described by Cigar Journal magazine as the Elon Musk of the cigar industry, and that's because he is just an extremely unique individual who has his hands in everything from weed to animal feed, and then obviously your biggest job is IT and
Yeah, yeah.
technology,
Certified
which you
hacker
do a
since like
bunch of shit,
2008.
hacktivism. I'm sure it's all legal and above board.
I wear both hats. Depends who pays me, right?
Well, we're gonna get into that, and I've got some stories to tell. So Risty owns Jocelyn Kral brand. We actually first met doing an event. We were at the same location for a cigar event, and we were next to each other for a few days in Amsterdam, and that was a blur of a good time.
Yeah.
Again, some of that story will be told, some of it won't, and we stayed in touch ever since. And when we bumped into each other last year, so 2024.
Yeah.
Risty was looking for a new factory. We bumped into each other in Esteli, Nicaragua. He was looking to move his production for his brand to a new factory. We had just started this relationship with a great factory, W Cigars, run by Machito. And I said, hey, man, you got to check these guys out. We're going over there now. It was a hit. He was going to do something there. We were doing something there. And then he was kind of complaining, as long as he's rebranding it, he's like, I'm just going to focus on international. Like, the whole process of selling to brick and mortar in the U.S. is just so taxing, and I have so many things on my plate. And the net was we struck a deal where Cigar Page is now the exclusive purveyor of Jocelyn Kral cigars in the United States.
Oh yeah.
So that's where you can get it. And the reason I wanted to have you on the show, Risty, and just to tell my customers why I'm so excited you're here, is because I've not done a partnership like this with anybody before. We talked. I bought about a half container, like a 20-foot container load of goods, thinking, okay, this will last me, X amount of time. And our customers, we'd never sold the brand. I mean, maybe we got a box here or there, but we had never really promoted the brand. And I thought, oh, this will last me 6 months. This is perfect. This will be a great start. I can introduce the brand to my customers who haven't had it yet. And within the first week, it was all gone. Like, I was hoping when we shot this show that I'd have things to sell, because people are probably going on our website right now, like, Jocelyn Kral, let me find these cigars I want to buy. You can't. I mean, maybe we have some samplers left, I think.
A handful of samplers, I think that's about it.
You blew the whole thing out. Now I got to wait 4 months for the next load. I mean, I completely undershot it. And you personally, through your social media and everything, had moved pretty much most of this, man. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Dude, it's because I had people waiting. You know, it's just I didn't want to release anything until I knew it was right. And I think what me and you did, partnering up and with the new factory, everything was right. And I just announced, you know, you called me. I was in Louisiana doing some animal trade show actually, and I just told a few people, and then I think we talked the next day, and you're like, I think the system's glitching because like stuff's not ordering, it's not going out. The following
Well,
day, you're like, it's
the
gone.
volume of inbound orders was creating a lot of inventory, pick, pack, and ship, all kinds of issues. Like, we just weren't ready for the onslaught of popularity, dude.
Yeah,
We didn't even send out an email. All of a sudden, we put it
yeah.
online. It was like, what
That
the
was a
fuck is
funny.
going on here?
That was a funny thing. You called me. I think it was Tuesday, and you're like, hey, we're gonna actually send out our first email Friday. And I
Yeah,
think by Friday, like 80,
we didn't have
80 or
enough
85%,
inventory.
yeah, it was gone. So I mean, that's a cool thing. That's a great thing. I like that. You know, it is what it is, man. I have dedicated followers around the world. Like you saw that, like
Yeah,
in
bro, but
Amsterdam.
you got to understand, in my business, I hear that I have dedicated followers and
Oh yeah,
social
it's all
media.
smoke and
I hear
fucking
that shit
mirrors with
all
a
the
lot of these
time as a
guys.
buyer, and I never fucking count on it. And like, you're like, and here's the other thing with you, and this is where we're going to go in the conversation a little bit, but it's like I love talking to you because you like mess with my head a lot. Like similar to how like I hear people say all the time this and that, and then when you do it, it really goes through. It's the
Yeah,
other part that I love talking to you about, which is like you always have these like I always call you when I'm like, dude, what's the latest conspiracy going on out in the world?
yeah,
Because you're
dude.
like so in touch with that stuff, and then you tell me all this stuff, and I'm like, bullshit, none of that's true. And then like half of it becomes like
That's the
immediately
scary
true,
part.
and then I get all fucked up. So it's like the same thing though with like your whole like pitch, like no, trust me, I can move these. I got the following. Like you really saw that through, man.
Yeah, man. It's just I actually got a cool conspiracy actually today. So my thing with that is I know a lot of high level people and some retired high level people because I've done their private networks and stuff like this. So I have a really extensive relationship with,
And you do
you
a
know,
lot of work for the government, I know.
yeah,
But that's what's fucked up, though. Like, you know how many other assholes out there are like, well, I have contacts and I'm in the know about these things. It's like the same thing with the people who say, like, my social media following is going to move these cigars. It's like the same exact thing for me.
oh, I'm sure you've heard that bullshit line from a lot of fucking brands,
I know.
man.
And then you hear people all the time be, well, I know things that nobody knows and I've got contacts and blah, blah, and you think, oh, that's bullshit. But it's the same thing with you. Like, a lot of what you always tell me comes true. And then it's like, I don't want
Yeah,
to ask you anything anymore because everything you tell me is like, not
dude.
stuff I
My
want to like even think about.
I tell my wife a lot of things, and we'll be sitting on the couch, and like the news will come up, and she's like, "Motherfucker, you told me that like 2 weeks ago." I go, "Yeah, yeah, shit happens, you know."
I'm a big. I like all those alien shows. I need you to give me some more like Alien, what the real deal is. I remember Tucker Carlson like on one of his episodes. Like somebody asked him about what he knew about aliens, and he was so disturbed by it he wouldn't even talk about it. And I'm like, oh man, like what
Dude,
the fuck?
Bob
Don't tell
Lazar is
me.
a good dude
Don't
to talk.
fucking tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. So anyway, you know, one of the great things. Let's get back to your brand. You know, one of the great things and reasons why why I'm also excited about this, and I'm actually been filming various variations of this video, trying to educate customers about what it actually costs to make a cigar and the value chain on how it goes from the factory to the brand owners and the distributors and the retailers and ultimately the customer, and
Sure.
how much extra people pay throughout this value chain. And I've shot this video like 4 times, and I keep trying to redo it. Hopefully, the next version will be the best. But I think your brand is going to be a prime example for what I'm shooting because,
Oh yeah.
you know, under your old model where you were going to brick and mortar, you know, your cigars were up to like what 11,
The
12
the
bucks for
Kral
a
the
lot.
Kral was $15, and yeah, that was my highest non-infused cigar. The Kral was 15, and then my CBD 100 milligram was 26.
Well, we're not doing the CBD stuff, but your
Yes,
red night I
correct.
think was like upper
The red
nines.
night, the red night, depending on the state, would be 9.80 to twelve
Yeah.
dollars, depending on tax. And then Tyrannicals were in between the $10 to $13 range, and then the toothpicks were, you know, $6 to $7.
Well, buying your product now direct from the factory. and you putting, and I just import it and I do everything, and us going direct to consumer, we've been able to shave that price down to like $3-4 a cigar, and it
Oh
really
yeah,
is the textbook example for me because people always think a $3 $4 cigar can't be as good as a $15 cigar. It's the same cigar that we're selling for $15. We've just
it's
shortened the value chain
insane.
and passed all that
Yes,
savings on to the customer. And I think that,
yes,
I mean, your
100%.
existing guys went wild for it because, I mean, they were used to
Oh,
paying
dude,
retail.
it was the reorders that got me. Like a lot of my guys like I'm just gonna buy like one of everything,
Yeah.
and then they posted smoking it. He's like, I just ordered like 15 more of everything across the board. So,
I think our
so
fraud
it's
prevention that day was like huge because people were buying in like such mass quantities. Like just for a new
yeah.
brand that we think people are just trying for the first time, we don't see people being like, I'll take 55 packs. And it's like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, the one guy's like 60 Lancero
I
packs.
know. And then it gets flagged in our like fraud thing. And then I felt bad for that guy because by the time we figured
Yeah,
out it wasn't fraud, like they were all already gone. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
fuck, I feel
I
terrible.
told him I'll take care of him. I sent him some stuff just to hold him over until stuff comes in.
Well, that's nice of you, man.
Yeah,
We're
that's just
very
what I
happy.
do.
We're very happy with it. But I think your story is, one that it's like every guy's wet dream, right? Like,
Yeah,
you got a big cojones, right? And like anything you are interested in that you want to do, you like do what all of us like to think we do. Like we just go get it and make stuff happen. Like you've
yeah,
always loved cigars. You've been smoking for a long time. I'd like to
correct.
hear more about when you started smoking cigars. And so maybe speak to that. But I'm also interested in this transition from where you went from cigar hobbyist to literally making your own brand and going 2 feet in and having tremendous success. I mean, when you started, you were direct to consumer, and
Correct.
you had
And
all
we
kinds of
talked about
chatter.
that when we met. Yeah.
I know, and then I was like, you were doing the international thing. So like, I would love to know, like, when did you start smoking cigars? When did you decide, like, dude, I'm doing my own thing? Because I think a lot of our viewers kind of daydream about that. Like, you know what? Fuck this, rip their tie off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make a cigar brand, and like, and I get it. There's a lot. I mean, it sounds awesome, but you and I both know that's really hard to do. So
It's not easy.
tell me about how all that came to be.
Dude, so listen, I started smoking cigars in '99 with my uncle. And for me, it was just to hang out with my uncle. My uncle ended up passing away in 2001. And it was strictly just Cuban stuff we were smoking together. So then I just started collecting everything Cuban wise from '99 to 2002. And I amassed this huge collection of Cuban cigars. Everyone knew me online and smoking the vintage stuff. I started getting the non-Cuban cigars, I would say like 2012, actually.
So when you kind of actually came around to realize that Cuban cigars suck, right?
Oh,
That's
they
just my
suck in
opinion.
general. No, they do suck. I mean, well, listen, I always tell people Cuban cigars are trash, but they hold their weight in value and they go up every week.
And the tobacco is great. They just don't work it right. That's my
They
opinion.
don't know how to ferment properly. They don't know how to
Right.
construct a cigar properly. So I'm sitting at home, and it was a year of one brand was just doing a new shop release every week for like 6 months. Popular dude, and I just kept smoking it, trying it. I was a cigar nerd, buying it. And I'm like, dude, I can fucking make my own blend. I can think I can, because a guy told me if you know how to cook, you know how to blend a cigar. So I was like, whatever. I actually met someone in Texas at an event. I told him, hey, I want to get my own thing. It was a Noel Rojas. That's where I first started out with. And he's like, brother, I hear the same story from 100 people a week. If you're serious, call me. And so I'm like, all right. I did my paperwork, set the company up, to structure the whole thing, because I like to do that. That's my backside of things,
Right.
like business wise. And so I literally called Noel when I landed in Managua. I mean, it was a Saturday morning. That Wednesday is when I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go head out to fucking Nicaragua and make that cigar. She had no clue. And my wife's like, you don't even fucking speak Spanish. I was like, well, Google Translator does. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, you know what? Though? I could just envision it, not because I know you.
Yeah,
Like your wife probably just think that that's like another week. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to go to Syria next week. Like, oh, of course you are.
So I started the line with Noel, went great, and then I made 5,000 cigars, sold them out in like 4 weeks. Then I did 15,000 cigars. I added the Red Knight, the Lonzo, and Cerro and Robusto. The Toro was the original. Most of those went overseas, and why is because I dealt a lot of dealing Cuban with a lot of big name players, the collectors out in the EU, also in Oman and Hong Kong. I know a lot of fucking people, and like you know what I know. And I got invited to that Dortmund show, but before that is when I got invited to the Amsterdam show. And I will tell you the story that Alex. This is how we met. So I'm sitting next to Alex, and I'm like, "Yo, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Alex Swenson. You know, I know all these guys over here." And it was, I think it was like George
George
from Alec
George
Bradley
Sosa
was
from
there,
Alec Bradley was there.
Sosa was there,
Juan
Hoya was
Martinez from
there,
Hoya. Yeah.
yeah, and then PDR dude was there too, and then some EU brand, right? But what happened was everyone kept coming in and coming to my table and just ignoring everyone else. I'm just sitting there selling the shit out of my cigars. And Alex literally looks over. He's like, "Man, who the fuck are you?" He goes, "All these dudes are." I'm like, "Well, this, you know, because I had
No, they were
people from
literally
Dubai."
coming into the store like, Riste, like, oh man, I've been waiting for
Yeah,
you for like a month, which ever since you announced it. And I'm like, what the fuck is
yeah.
going
It
on
got
here?
so, it was so funny that one of the guys was a Emirates pilot and chartered a plane from Dubai to bring all the other people over just to hang out. And so that's how I met Alex, you know what I'm saying? And we've always kept in touch, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, good dude, but I
One of my
just
favorite
grew out
parts of
of,
that whole story, by the way, it was like, so then you and I started talking.
yeah.
And, you know, at the time I was a buyer for another company and
Hmm.
I thought I had heard of everybody in the industry, you know, because they were a very large company. And I thought, man, everybody had reached out to me by then. So it was like weird that I'd never heard of you or whatever. And then, I mean, you and I got along great. But that was
Yes.
like where I also got introduced into like your Risty universe because you
Yeah.
were telling me
Well,
all about the hacking stuff you've done and all the IT stuff. And I was like, bro, that's bullshit. And
yeah,
he's
I
like, oh,
remember I was
okay.
telling,
He
I was
pretty much
right, I remember,
lifted all of my credit card information out of my wallet without even touching it. Like, I don't have, you know, I always thought that RFID thing was all bullshit. He's like, oh, really? Oh, you think what I do is bullshit? It's like, here's your driver's license. I'm like, what the fuck,
yeah, I was like,
man?
"Man, you live over here too." We actually, I'm like, "Hey, we live pretty close." He's like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "You're over here in the north side. I'm over
Yeah,
here in
yeah. He's got like the schematics of my house. I'm like, dude, stop. No, come on. I'm like Ron Swanson when he realizes, you know, Google Earth and he like throws his computer into the dumpster, you know? Oh
I tell
God.
people I don't look like a fucking nerd, but I can ruin your life
You can
across the
nerd it up,
coffee
man.
shop.
You know, you nerd it with the best of them, buddy.
Yeah,
Isn't
hell
that the
yeah.
name of your show on Rumble? Speak nerdy to me, or
Talk nerdy to
talk
us.
nerdy to us? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little free plug there. And so, hey, everybody, just a reminder: the brand is Jocelyn Kral. We should have some samplers left if you search that in Cigar Page. I'm hoping we still have samplers when this goes to air. If not, we have more product arriving in April. So definitely keep an eye out for it. Rissi, let's go back to your Cuban cigar collection. You know, so
Yeah.
you're talking about all these people that you had contact with during this time. Did you ever meet Min Ron Nee, or was that
I
before
actually
your time?
talked to him. No, I actually talked to him way before I was actually in the cigar industry, as
Is
far as
he
like,
as
you know, my own
impressive as
brand.
everybody said he was?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's another dude in Hong Kong that I met in Dortmund who literally told me he has a warehouse bigger than Habano's essay in his personal collection. Yeah,
Wow. Well, Mitt
I
Romney, for
met
the
the
viewers who
yeah
don't know, he was a major famous collector of cigars, particularly pre-revolutionary. He wrote the
yeah
Cigar Encyclopedia of Pre-Revolutionary Havana Cigars. He was, for many years, and probably still is, even though he's not obviously not active, but the authority on pre-revolutionary Havana cigars.
yeah, he's the guy.
That's friggin' wild, man. That's why. Did you ever
Yeah.
have any like of the really cool stuff, like the old Davidoff Dom Perignons and stuff from the '80s? And
Dude, I had the Mojito that was released in the 60s. I had the Dom
wow,
Perignons. I had the H and Hopmans, the small fucking Robusto size. I had 4 boxes of those. Dude, when those came out, they were like $50 at the store.
I remember that.
I sold one for about $5,000. And that was actually a crazy story because this dude in Norway bought it, right? And he called a collector in Chicago to do a cred
Like
check
a
on
credit
me
check
because
on you.
he's like, how the fuck's this dude in Indiana have this box, you know, and multiple of them. And the guy called me. He's like, "Can you bring this box to the Chicago Yacht Club?" So I met him at the Yacht Club in Chicago, Balmoral or something. He looked at it, sent the picture. He's like, "This is as legit as you're gonna get." So this guy spends $5,000 for this fucking box, right? And he goes, "Give me the cheapest shipping option." And in my head, I'm like, "It's eight
This is
dollars.
not a
You
good
want you
idea.
just yeah." So what happened was, it made it to Norway. It hit customs, and it got sent back to the United States. And I go, "Listen, you're on the hook. If customs opens this, they're gonna fucking take that box. I'm not paying you back." I actually got the box back. showed up to my house. I go, what do you want to do for shipping now? He goes, FedEx Express overnight and pay like fucking $300 for this box.
Yeah,
I go, you should have
yeah,
done this you should have did this in
yeah.
the first
If I
place.
were
You know
that
what I'm
dude,
saying?
I'd be on a plane flying here to fucking hand carry it back home. That's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
So I
That's
ended
insane.
up selling half my collection when my daughter was born 12 years ago, and I put all that money in her bank account. And I was kind of pissed because 2 years after that, the prices just start skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I put a good chunk of six figures in my daughter's account, but I could have put probably three times the amount, you know. And so my kid's like, he knows the story. My son, who's a little younger than her, he's like, Dad, when are you gonna sell your cigars for me? I was like, I'm gonna wait till you're fucking 16, bro.
That's
You
a
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
one shot deal. Your boys can
Yeah,
take care of themselves, man. Girls, you gotta.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Papa Bear will always be there, man.
Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, all day.
So,
But
so
yeah,
you
it
went from
just,
so you went from 5,000 your first order, 15,000 your second order. I mean, at what point were you just like, dude,
uh,
something's happening here?
I literally looked at my wife after I sold the 15,000 cigars. I go, babe, I think I got something crazy here. And then I started doing 40,000, 80,000, and those were taken. You know, I think I told you at one point I did one event and I did fucking 450 boxes. You know, and
Unreal.
you're like, what the fuck, you know? And that was all direct to consumers time.
Hmm.
So I'm making good money. You know, the margins in it. And then I just decided, you know, because I met so many people, and a lot of people are like, Risty, like it would be cool if you're in a cigar store, start exporting your stuff to, you know, outside the United States, which I started doing.
Right.
But then there's a fucking hassle, like you were talking about, that bullshit
What
that
was the
comes
first
with
thing I
that.
told you when you called me and you say, I'm going to close this direct to
You
consumer thing.
said
I'm
you're
going to go do
fucking
this. I said,
stupid.
this is the fucking worst idea ever. Don't do it.
I literally sit in my garage and you know, I asked you for a lot of advice and I appreciate everything you told me. And literally the first thing you're just like, you're fucking stupid.
This
Don't
is the
do it.
worst idea ever. You know what
And
though? I
it, and
mean,
it
but
sucked, dude.
back then though, it maybe wasn't the worst idea because direct to consumer regulations. I mean, it would have been there would have been a
Yeah.
ton you would have had to have done to keep doing that. I mean, I
Yeah.
always
So
envisioned when you would tell me like your family, like when the shipments would come in,
yeah,
like it was all hands on deck. Like you'd have family over, you'd cook this giant dinner, and then after
yeah.
dinner, everybody would go down to the basement, and everybody was pick packing and shipping,
I didn't
right out of your
know,
house, right?
I didn't know, credit card processors had a daily limit of transactions. And people were calling me, he's like, your site's down. I can't place an order. I can't place an order. I called the credit card processor. He's like, you had 1,000 transactions in one day. We had to put a stop to it. You can start selling again at 12:01 tonight. And we were just all sitting in my house, and you know, I would make the boxes. My daughter would just like, you know, just sort the papers at the time.
Right.
My wife would start packing. It was literally like a 3 day event. You know, once I, you know, publicly put stuff out there, and I enjoyed every second of it. You know what I'm saying?
As you should, man. As you should, and you've done well, and your success is well deserved. And I don't, I want to stay on the cigar topic, but I think people
Yeah,
would
of
be
course.
floored if they knew all the other industries and things you have your hands in. Is unbelievable. I mean, it's great that we have this new relationship because hopefully that
Yeah,
allows you time to go explore all those other interests. But I think your
yeah,
story is a really good one, and it's something that I think, like I said, a lot of guys and a lot of customers probably kind of have that fantasy of. After you're having a bad day
yeah.
at work, you're fucking taking the train home, and in your suit and tie, and it's like fuck this. Uh, there's something to be said for it. I've never had to deal with that. I've been in the cigar industry my whole life and love what I do. But I see those guys. A lot of them live
Yeah.
around me too. I like live in a
Oh
kind of
yeah,
a
I
nice
bet.
area with a lot of accountants and lawyers and things, and they all look like they want to just go home and fucking throw a
Depressed
toaster in
as
the
fuck.
bathtub.
Send out toasters for Christmas presents,
That's right.
potluck to the neighborhood.
That's right. That's
But yeah,
right.
man, I'm in a lot of things. Like that can be a whole nother episode. You know, I'm in so many different industries and stuff I do. But I'm a cigar nerd at heart, and I know what it takes to, take your paycheck and buy a box of cigars. And then I know how it is to be disappointed when like 12 out of 25 in the box are trash.
Yep.
And so it's just like I told myself, like, I just want to keep my standard high, run my own fucking game. I don't give a shit what anyone tells. Like the very first thing someone told me when I told them I'm going direct to consumer, and they're like, "Oh, that's not the cigar industry model. You have to sell it to the wholesaler or have a distributor do that." And I go, "Why?" And then literally
The
that same
distributor needs to
person,
make 30-40%. You're like, what the
correct,
fuck, man?
and then they end up coming back and they're like, "I'm actually going direct to consumer, watching you going direct to consumer." And like, it was an awesome time. What?
It is incredible. But with regulations being what they are now, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do it the same way again. I'm sure you
No,
still would have found a way, but it's
I
pretty
would have
wild.
found a way, but I literally got out 2 months before the whole every individual state had to be taxed through the web. I got out 2 months before that. So
You would
before
have
that,
needed a full time account at that point.
correct. And I didn't want to hire a full time accountant just for that.
Yeah.
So
No, it makes a ton of sense. Well, one of the things I'm most excited about too, now that we have this exclusive, is knowing how busy you are, and my crack team at Cigar Page now can work with you. I mean, you have so many ideas that you never brought to market,
oh
or
yeah,
things that you
and
brought
that's
to market once and never did it again. And like the
correct.
well is so deep, we just scratched the surface on where we're heading with
Oh
this
yeah,
thing.
big time. Yeah, I remember we had a conversation like, yeah, do you have any ideas? And I just sent you to my Google Drive, and you're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Oh yeah, my other favorite one too was like when we got going. You're like, oh, I was cleaning out the basement and I found like 8 cartons full of these awesome
Yeah,
cardboard 5 packs, and I'm like, dude, these are great. Like, oh, you got to send
yeah.
them down to the factory. So like, find more of that stuff, man.
Oh, dude, I have. So you remember when the FDA first got announced, right? And they told the entire industry, you got 6 months to develop and sell and prove the quotes. I literally did 20 years of future growth in 6 months, and I legally did it properly. I called shops, saying, I'm gonna send you your invoice, I'm gonna send you a cigar just to keep it on record. So I have, man, what's out there right now? I have 3 times as much shit in my head written down, ready to rock, and packaging and artwork. It's like,
Well, we're looking forward to it. It already feels a little bit like I'm drinking out of a fire hose. So hard to imagine how much more I'm gonna take here, but I mean, we have literally now that you have the distribution through Cigar Page,
yeah,
and my team, it's like we have a 10-year pipeline of
yeah,
awesome stuff we're gonna do, and the quality of these products is just unbelievable. I mean, the reviews have already started coming in from the people that bought as soon as it hit, and
this
it's I
motherfucker
mean
great, man.
it's great. I mean, the feedback's awesome. I wish I had products so I could see people come back and buy it, but I just don't. So, I mean, we doubled our first order for the second order, but I got to wait till April till it gets here. I mean, it's handmade product. I just wish I had listened to you from day one. I
Yeah,
did it
well,
again.
yeah.
I did it again. Yeah. Everybody says that,
I will tell you this. Alex texts me and goes, "I fucked up," and I go, "Yeah,"
right?
and I go, "Yeah, you did. I told you."
Yeah, you
But
did.
I want people to know everything I tell people is the truth. You know what I'm saying? Everything I say, I back it up with this raw, hard data. You know what I'm saying? But Alex has heard this 100 times from other people, and we all know 99% is bullshit in the industry. It's just I have
Yeah,
brands
yeah.
calling
I
me
mean, any
going,
other brand wouldn't have told me, "Hey, I found 12 cases of these carton 5 pack."
correct.
Oh, sorry, my thing's
Oh,
doing
hey,
that.
just
Yeah,
adjusting the things.
like I found these little 5 packs in my basement. All these other. There's so many unsavory folks in this industry. And the story would have been, I was down there cleaning my garage, and I moved a box, and there was a bale of
Yeah,
1955 Cuban Vuelta Bajo filler. I
and
love how
I
like
make
authentic you
fun
are.
of them.
Like, no, bro, these are just 5 packs, man.
Yeah, yeah. And when you said count them, I literally go to my wife. I'm like, hey, you gotta count them. And she's like, you fucking kidding me right now? I was like, I'll take the kids to karate and soccer practice. You spend the next couple of days counting
Well, the problem is I got to
boxes.
send it down to the factory, and they're going to want to know how many are in there. And
All right,
Jesus Christ.
it's all counted. She wasn't happy, so it
Well,
is what it is. But
I owe your wife an apology. I'd say I'd call her personally, but I don't want you to read that the wrong way. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting audited by the IRS and deported, and because that's what I think would happen.
that's
My
funny.
whole home network is imploding, and then ironically, I would probably call you to be like, "Risty, this is going on. How do I fix this, man?"
Yeah, you would call me and
I
ask me.
would, and you'd be the motherfucker that did
That'd be like the glass shop throwing
it.
bricks through cars, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, it's always so good talking to you, dude. Well, I'd love to have you back. And for everybody watching
Yeah,
again, this
anytime.
is Risty Buck. His brand is Chasm Kral. It is only now available. I mean, you can find it places nationwide right now. But as the product out there dries up, it will only be available at Cigar Page. We're very proud of it. We're very
Well, I
excited
would
about the
say go to
relationship.
Cigar Page.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you're definitely going to get the best deal from us. There's no
well,
doubt.
in general, I stopped selling the shops over a year ago.
There
I
you
was
go.
not interested, so I literally took my inventory off these stores. And some stores blew them out and whatever, but I even just told people go buy the Cigar Page ones. They're better constructed, better flavored, anyways.
Hey, Risty, guess what? I hope they blew them out because they're not going to fucking sell them now at the prices I'm moving your
Oh
inventory
no,
at.
yeah. Well, what
They're gonna
you know,
they're gonna have that shit 10 years from now, buddy.
not my fucking problem.
You're the best, dude. Anyway, I can't wait to have you back. And everybody, be
Yeah,
sure to
man.
check out Jocelyn Kral Cigars. And we're very excited about the Big Burn actually kind of making its resurgence. So please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos. We have a long way to go with awesome content. And it was so great to have Riste here for our resurgence of the Big Burn podcast show.
I just want to say one thing
Go, please do
that
it.
you didn't include in the first time I met you. You asked me about cryptocurrency, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Is Bitcoin worth it?" And I go, "Yeah, dude, I got a couple of them." And it was only like $4,500 at the time when I first met
I know. Dude, the laundry list of investments that I missed, that I'd be on a yacht somewhere right now, is long and distinguished, but that is among the many of them. There were a few currencies you told me, like, not just that one, you
Correct.
should check out this one, and they've all crushed it, dude. I need to
Yes.
start learning to listen to you. I didn't bring in enough cigars. I didn't buy Bitcoin.
You know, I'll tell you one thing. I know you're trying to cut it short,
That's all right.
but I got made fun of in the industry when in 2015 when I started accepting cryptocurrency payments for my original releases.
Yeah.
Ethereum was $11, so I was selling a box of Red Knight cigars for 12 ETH coins. And so I tell people I sold some of them, and now that box has earned me $30,000 to $25,000 a box now in return.
Jesus, man. You're always in front of it, man, and I'm always behind it. I just gotta, I don't know. I gotta just trust in Riste. What would Riste do?
Let's have some more
WWRD.
charge, man. There you go.
All right, man. It was awesome having you. Thank you
Dude,
so
thank
much.
you for having me, man.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.